Good morning, my friends. I want to start today with a simple question. What's the very first thing you do when you wake up? You might reach for your phone, maybe you stumble toward the kitchen for coffee, or you sit there at the edge of the bed wondering how to face another day of stiffness and pain in your legs. But let me ask you this. What if I told you that just one simple morning habit done before breakfast, before caffeine, before you scroll your screen, could be the very thing that stops your leg muscles from wasting away? I'm not talking about hitting the gym or taking expensive supplements. I'm talking about something every single one of us can do, no matter your age, background, or how much pain you're in. When you wake up in the morning, your body is coming out of a state of complete stillness. For 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours, you haven't moved. You've been lying in one position. Maybe you toss and turn a bit, but for the most part, your muscles are resting completely. And while rest is essential, that kind of prolonged stillness sends a message to your body, particularly your legs, that they're not needed right now. And if that message gets repeated every single day without interruption, your body starts to believe it. It says, okay, we're not using this muscle anymore, so we can afford to let it go. That's how it begins. That's how muscle loss starts, not with a loud noise, not with a warning, but with silence and stillness. Now, I want to be very clear, aging by itself doesn't make your muscles disappear. That's a myth. That's something we've been taught to believe, that growing older means growing weaker. But the truth is, the human body is always listening, it's always adapting, and if you give it the right signals, it will respond, even at 60, 70, 80 or beyond. But you have to send those signals deliberately. And one of the most powerful signals you can send to your muscles happens first thing in the morning. You see, your muscles, especially the ones in your legs, are like living conversations. If you don't talk to them, they go quiet. If you don't engage them, they start to fade. And overnight, when you're not moving, not stretching, not using them, they begin to shrink ever so slightly. It's a natural part of disuse. The longer you remain inactive, the stronger the signal of, we don't need this muscle becomes. And your body, in its incredible efficiency, begins to say, all right, let's redirect energy elsewhere. Let's conserve. But here's the magic in that. Because the body is always adapting, it also means you can interrupt that process. You can tell your legs, hey, I still need you. I still want you strong. And the best time to say that is right after you wake up. Let me share something personal. Years ago, I worked with a gentleman in his mid-70s. He was a proud man, retired firefighter. He told me he started feeling hollow in his legs, as he put it. Not pain, not even weakness, just a sense of emptiness, like the muscles were evaporating. When we examined his daily habits, everything pointed to those first 30 minutes of his day. He'd wake up, sit at the edge of the bed for 15 minutes, then slowly make his way to the kitchen, grab a cup of coffee, and sit again. No activation. No engagement. His legs were silent. I asked him to try something simple before coffee, before the TV, before anything else. I told him to stand up, gently lift his knees one at a time while holding onto the bedpost, and take 20 slow, deliberate steps in place. That's it. Just that. And I said, do it every single day for 2 weeks. Don't skip. What happened? After just a few mornings, he told me something had shifted. His legs felt more alive, he said, like they remembered how to be strong again. That was the power of movement. That was the power of telling his legs, first thing in the morning, you still matter. You don't need heavy equipment. You don't need to run laps or take a class. You just need to move mindfully, intentionally, and consistently. The very act of waking up and asking your legs to participate in your day reminds your entire body that strength is still required here, that you are not giving up, that you are still building, still growing. This is not just about physical health, it's also about emotional and mental wellness. Because when you start your day by taking charge of your own strength, you're also taking charge of your mindset. You're telling yourself, I am not declining, I am not fading, I am still writing my story, and that has profound effects on how the rest of your day unfolds. Let's talk science for a moment, because I know some of you want to understand what's happening on a biological level. There's a condition called sarcopenia. It's the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. But here's the thing, sarcopenia is not inevitable. It's not a guarantee. It happens primarily because of inactivity, not age alone. And the legs are usually the first to go because they require the most energy to maintain, and they tend to be the least used in sedentary lifestyles. When you begin moving your legs first thing in the morning, when you stretch your calves, flex your thighs, roll your ankles, you increase blood flow, you activate neural pathways that may have gone dormant. You fire up your mitochondria, the little power stations in your cells, and say, let's go, let's get moving. That gentle activation alone can set the tone for your entire muscular system. Think of it like this. Your body is a garden. If you neglect one part of it, weeds grow, soil dries out, life starts to retreat. But if you water it, care for it, check in on it every single day, life returns, strength returns. That's what morning movement does for your legs. It tells the garden, I haven't forgotten you. Too often, we think change requires giant leaps. We think we need to overhaul our lives, join a gym, hire a trainer. But real transformation, the kind that lasts, almost always starts with something small, something quiet, something as simple as standing up and saying, I will move today. So I want you to remember this the next time you wake up and feel tired, stiff, unmotivated. Remember that your legs are listening, they're waiting, and the moment you choose to use them, to stretch them, to give them a reason to stay strong, they respond. You are not a victim of time. You are not powerless in this journey. Every morning, you are given the opportunity to speak life into your own body. And when you choose to do that, when you choose to move with purpose, to act with intention, your muscles answer. They grow, they strengthen, they carry you forward. And that's the real gift. Not just stronger legs, but a stronger you, one step at a time, one morning at a time. Always forward, always rising. Let's get one thing clear. Transformation doesn't come from doing everything at once. It doesn't come from pressure or perfection. It comes from small, consistent acts done with intention. And when it comes to protecting your leg muscles from shrinking, it doesn't require you to become an athlete or spend hours at the gym. What it truly takes is 5 to 10 minutes each morning, just 5 to 10 minutes of gentle, deliberate movement. That's it. We live in a world that praises the extreme. We celebrate people who run marathons, lift heavy weights, and push through grueling workouts. That's all good. But what about the rest of us? What about the 60-year-old woman who just wants to be able to walk to the mailbox without pain? Or the 75-year-old man who wants to get up from a chair without struggling? Or the person who's been sedentary for years, afraid to begin because everything feels overwhelming? You don't need a mountain to climb. You need a single step. That's where the magic lies. You see, your body doesn't need extreme effort to stay strong. It needs consistent signals. It needs reminders. When you take 5 to 10 minutes in the morning to gently move your legs, to stretch, to flex, to activate, your body gets the message. We're still using these muscles. We still need them. And that's enough to halt decline. That's enough to keep the fire burning inside your cells. And don't underestimate what happens in those few minutes. When you rise from your bed and do a few slow marches in place, you're not just moving your legs, you're starting a conversation with your nervous system. You're firing the signals from your brain to your muscles that say, wake up, connect, work together. That conversation keeps those pathways strong. It keeps your coordination alive. It strengthens not only the muscles, but also the balance systems that protect you from falls. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're standing at your kitchen counter. The sun is just peeking through the window. You hold the edge of the counter gently with one hand for support. You start by raising one heel, then the other, alternating slowly. Calf raises. Easy, smooth, nothing too hard. After 30 seconds, you lift each knee slightly like a marching soldier in slow motion. You take your time. You're not rushing. You're listening to your body. You might feel stiffness at first, maybe even a little pain, but that's okay. That's your body waking up. That's circulation returning. That's healing starting. And here's what's even more powerful. By doing this every morning, you're creating a ritual. You're building something sacred into your day. This isn't just movement. It's self-respect. It's a quiet declaration that your health matters, that your body is worth showing up for every single day. And over time, that small ritual begins to transform you. At first, you notice you're less stiff in the mornings. Then you notice you have more stamina walking around the house. Your posture starts to improve. You feel stronger not just in your legs, but in your spirit. That's what 5 to 10 minutes can do. Now, I know some of you might be skeptical. You might be thinking, how can something so small make such a difference? But let me ask you this. How does muscle loss happen? Does it happen all at once? No, it happens bit by bit, day by day, through inaction. So why wouldn't the solution be the opposite? Muscle gain, muscle preservation, strength. It also happens bit by bit, day by day, through deliberate action. That's the truth. I once worked with a woman named Evelyn. She was 82 when she came to see me. She'd been active most of her life, but after a hip surgery, she'd slowed down dramatically. She lost confidence in her legs. She started avoiding movement altogether. That led to weakness, which led to more fear, which led to more sitting. It was a cycle, a quiet spiral. But Evelyn was determined, and she was open. I asked her to start with just 5 minutes each morning. That was the deal. I gave her 3 simple exercises: heel raises, gentle knee lifts, and side leg swings while holding a chair. No weights, no fancy equipment, just her body and a few quiet moments. The first few mornings, she said, it was hard. She felt unsteady. She didn't trust her body, but she did it anyway. And by the end of the first week, something changed. She told me, I'm starting to feel myself again, not just physically, but emotionally. She was showing up for herself. She was honoring her strength instead of fearing her weakness. Within a month, Evelyn was walking farther. Her legs were more stable. She had more energy. She even joined a gentle Tai Chi class at her community center. And do you know what she said to me that brought tears to my eyes? She said, I thought my strong days were behind me, but now I think they're still ahead. That is the power of 5 to 10 minutes. That is the power of small steps repeated with love, with purpose, with belief. You don't need a personal trainer. You don't need motivation every day. You need a reason. And I'll give you one: your future self. That version of you who still wants to walk without help, who still wants to garden, dance, play with your grandkids, travel, live, fully. That version of you is shaped by the decisions you make today, not someday, today. So I challenge you, no, I invite you to begin tomorrow. When you wake up, before the distractions come in, before the news and the noise and the stress, give yourself those 5 to 10 minutes. Just you and your legs. Breathe. Move, thank your body, and then move on with your day knowing you've already done something incredible. Because every morning you choose to move is a morning you choose to live. You choose growth, you choose resilience, you choose hope. And I promise you this, those small acts will build something big, not just stronger legs, but a stronger life. So go ahead, make your morning movement a non-negotiable. 5 minutes, 10 if you can. That's all it takes. That's how the journey begins. And the best part, you don't need anything but your body, your breath, and your belief. There's something sacred about the first few minutes of the day, before the world pulls at your attention, before your mind starts racing with tasks, worries, or headlines. That small window in the morning, it's when your body and your brain are the most impressionable. And it's when your muscles, especially in your legs, are begging you for one thing: movement, not intensity, not speed, just presence, just activation. The first moments after waking up are more powerful than most people realize. During sleep, your muscles have been inactive for hours. Your blood flow slows, your joints become stiff, and your body temperature drops. It's a natural part of rest. But what also happens, especially if you're over the age of 50, is that your body starts to interpret this stillness as the new normal. If it continues day after day, week after week, your muscles start to respond accordingly. They begin to shrink, to fade, to give up. That's why so many people feel weak or wobbly when they first stand up in the morning. It's not just age, it's disuse. So what happens when you change that script? What happens when you reclaim the first 10 minutes of your day and make them about intention, about preparation, about strength? Let me tell you, it changes everything. You don't need to become a morning person. You don't need to bounce out of bed with the energy of a teenager. But you do need to recognize that how you start your day shapes everything that follows, especially when it comes to your physical health. You see, the body thrives on rhythm, on pattern, on consistency, and the morning is when you have the most control over your routine. Before the phone calls, before the errands, Before the world gets loud, you have a moment of quiet where you can send a clear, powerful message to your body. I'm here. I'm engaged. I'm not surrendering. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine waking up and instead of dragging yourself to the kitchen, you sit at the edge of your bed. You plant your feet flat on the floor. You roll your ankles slowly 10 times each way. You point and flex your toes. You stand up and lift your knees gently one at a time as if marching in slow motion. Then you take a few steps in place. You feel your heels press into the floor, your calves stretch slightly, your hips open. That right there, that sits not exercise. That sits a message. That sits you telling your legs, I sits am awake, you sits you're needed, let sits go, and your body hears it, your blood starts to flow, oxygen begins to move into your muscle tissues, the mitochondria inside your cells wake up, ready to produce energy, your joints release stiffness, your nervous system, still foggy from sleep, starts to engage, your brain says, all right, we're moving today. This is what I call a physiological reset. It doesn't require weights or treadmills or special clothing. It just requires attention. And the best part, it only takes a few minutes. That small window at the beginning of your day, it's like planting a seed in fertile soil. Whatever you plant there tends to grow. Let me tell you about someone I met recently. Her name is Clara. She's 71. Beautiful energy, kind eyes, but she came to me feeling defeated. Her legs felt heavy in the morning. She was afraid of falling. She hated that she had to sit to put on her socks. Her independence was slipping through her fingers, and she knew it. I asked her about her mornings. She said she'd wake up, sit on the bed for a few minutes, then slowly shuffle to the bathroom. That was it. No stretching, no movement, just survival. I explained to her the power of early day movement, not as a chore, but as a ritual. I gave her 3 simple moves to do the moment she woke up. Nothing fancy, just enough to activate her body. She was skeptical, but she said she'd try. A month later, she walked into my office with tears in her eyes. It's working, she said. I feel strong again. I'm not afraid to stand up. She started walking more throughout the day. Her balance improved. Her confidence soared. But it didn't start with the gym. It didn't start with supplements. It started with the decision to honor the first moments of her day and use them to move. There's science behind this too. The first few minutes after waking are when your cortisol levels are naturally higher. That's your body's way of helping you feel alert. But cortisol also plays a role in muscle metabolism. When you move your legs in that state, your body is primed to respond. You're not just going through the motions, you're setting the tone for your entire metabolic system. You're teaching your body that movement matters. And there's something else when you begin your day with purpose. When you move with intention, you carry that energy into everything else. You make better choices with food, you sit less, you take the stairs, you stand taller. It's a domino effect. But it starts with the decision to honor the beginning. You don't need to spend 30 minutes. Start with 3. Stand beside your bed, do ankle circles, mini squats, light marches. If you're sitting, extend your legs and flex your feet. Breathe into the stretch. Feel your body waking up. Feel your mind clearing. That's more powerful than any multivitamin you can take. I want to be honest with you. Life is gonna throw a lot at you. Responsibilities, distractions, stress. But the one thing you always have control over is how you start. Those first moments in the morning are yours. They are the doorway to your strength. And when you walk through them with movement, with grace, with intention, you unlock something within yourself. You unlock vitality, energy, confidence. And most importantly, you protect your muscles from disappearing, from becoming a casualty of stillness. So don't underestimate those minutes. Don't say, it's just 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. It does matter. In fact, it might be the most important part of your entire day. Your body is not broken. It's steps waiting for you to show up, to move, to stretch, to send that signal, I sat still in this. I still want to live strong. And when you do that every morning, even just for a few minutes, you're not just preventing leg muscle loss, you're creating momentum, you're reclaiming power, you're saying to yourself and to the world, my best days aren't behind me, they're right here, and I'm walking into them. One step at a time. I want you to stop for a second and take a deep breath. Seriously, right now, wherever you are, Just breathe in, slowly, and exhale. Let go of the voices that say it's too late. Let go of the belief that decline is inevitable. Because I'm here to tell you something you might not have heard in a long time. You can rebuild strength at any age. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond. I've seen people in their late 80s rediscover their strength. I've watched them rise out of walkers, climb stairs they hadn't dared in years, and feel their legs come alive again. And not because they did anything extraordinary, but because they stopped believing the lie that aging means weakness. The real enemy isn't age, it's inaction. It's the belief that if you've lost some strength, you can't get it back. That's not true. Science doesn't say that, biology doesn't say that. And your body, your amazing, resilient, adaptable body, certainly doesn't say that. The truth is, your muscles respond to use, no matter your age. They respond to effort. They respond to movement. The body is not a machine that rusts with time. It's a living organism that adapts to challenge, even small, consistent challenges. And this is where it gets exciting. You don't need to train like an Olympian. You don't need heavy weights, fancy gyms, or hours of your day. What you need is a choice made daily to engage your body and remind it that it still has work to do. Now let me tell you a story that lives in my heart. I met a man named Samuel, 76 years old, retired teacher, full of wisdom but carrying a sadness behind his eyes. He told me, "I used to walk miles, but now I get winded going to the mailbox." I asked him when that started. He said, "After I slowed down, I never really started back up." What struck me wasn't his age. It was his acceptance of the decline, like he had made peace with losing his strength. And that broke my heart because I knew what was still possible for him. So I asked him, "Would you be willing to do 5 minutes of movement each morning just to see what happens?" He looked at me, unsure. "I don't think it'll help," he said. But then he paused and added, "But I'll try." And that "I'd still try" changed everything. We started with chair exercises, leg lifts, ankle rolls, slow marches, nothing complex, just signals to his muscles that they were still needed. Within 2 weeks, he was walking farther. A month later, he wasn't using the handrail on his stairs anymore. And 6 months after we met, he called me, voice shaking, and said, "Doc, I just walked 3 blocks without stopping. I haven't done that in 10 years. That's what happens when we choose movement over resignation. When we stop telling ourselves it's too late, because the truth is, our bodies are listening every single day. And even after decades of decline, your muscles are waiting for the invitation to return. They haven't given up on you. Don't give up on them. I know it's not easy. I know the aches and pains are real. I know you might feel embarrassed about how weak you've gotten, but none of that disqualifies you from starting. None of that means you're broken or beyond help. It just means you're human. And being human means you still have the capacity to heal, to grow, and to get stronger. The beauty of muscle is that it's dynamic. You lose it when you don't use it, but you can rebuild it when you start using it again. Slowly, patiently, with care. And the key is consistency. 5 minutes a day, every day. That's the formula. Not bursts of intensity, not overwhelming yourself, but a steady daily conversation with your body that says, "I'm still here. I still care. Let's move." So what does that look like? Maybe it's rising in the morning and standing up slowly, rolling your shoulders, then doing 10 knee lifts while holding onto a chair. Maybe it's walking down the hallway and back with intention, focusing on your posture and your breath. Maybe it's sitting on the edge of your bed and lifting one leg at a time. That's not nothing, that's everything. And over time, your body starts to shift. Your legs feel less shaky, your steps become more confident. The chair doesn't seem so far away. The floor doesn't feel like a danger zone anymore. You're reclaiming your independence, one movement at a time. Let me be clear, we're not just talking about strength, we're talking about freedom. We're talking about your ability to get out of a car unassisted, to walk through the park with your grandkids, to climb into bed without fear. That's what strength gives you. Not muscle for the mirror, but muscle for your life. I want you to imagine something. Close your eyes if you have to. Picture yourself a year from now. You've committed to 5 to 10 minutes of leg activation every morning. You haven't skipped more than a few days. You've made it part of your routine, like brushing your teeth or making your bed. Now imagine how your body feels. Your legs are stronger. Your balance is better. You're more mobile, more energetic, more alive. That's not fantasy. That's biology. That's reality for anyone willing to put in the daily work. But you've got to believe it's possible. You've got to believe you're worth the effort, and you are. You've lived through too much. You've overcome too much to let your strength slip away quietly. Not now. Not when so much life is still waiting for you. So the next time you wake up and think I'm too old for this, I want you to catch that thought, replace it with this: I may be older, but I'm not done yet. Say it out loud. Say it every morning if you have to, because your body will hear it and your muscles will believe it. Let your strength return, one breath, one stretch, one step at a time, because it is never too late, not for healing, not for hope, and never too late to be strong again. There's something beautiful about simplicity, about taking one small action and allowing it to set the tone for everything that comes after. That's what mindful movement does, especially in the morning. It's not about burning calories or building big muscles. It's about momentum, and momentum, once it starts, has a way of changing everything. Let me explain what I mean when I say mindful movement builds momentum. I'm not just talking about physical momentum, though yes, your body responds when you move. I'm talking about emotional, psychological, even spiritual momentum. When you begin your day with intention, even in something as simple as moving your legs for 5 minutes, you're planting a seed that grows far beyond that moment. It tells your brain, today we're choosing action. It tells your body we're alive, we're present, and we're not giving up. Most people think transformation starts with motivation, but that's not quite right. Transformation starts with movement, and that movement doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be mindful. You wake up, and instead of rushing through the morning, or worse, staying still, you pause, you acknowledge your body, you gently stretch, lift your knees, roll your ankles, you breathe, you feel your muscles engage. You tell your nervous system, let's go. And something shifts, something inside begins to wake up. You see, your body is hardwired to follow patterns. That's how we survive, that's how we learn. So when you do something every day, especially at the same time, like in the morning, it becomes a habit. And when that habit is movement, especially mindful movement, you start to build a track, a rhythm, a pattern of strength, balance, and self-respect. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. That's momentum. Let me take you back a few years. I was working with a woman named Joy, beautiful name, and eventually it fit her perfectly. But when we met, she didn't feel joyful at all. She was in her mid-60s, dealing with arthritis, feeling stuck. She said to me, I feel like I've slowed down so much that my body has forgotten how to move. And I believed her, because I've seen it happen. Inaction breeds more inaction. The longer we stay still, the heavier life feels, not just physically, but emotionally. So, I gave her something simple. I didn't tell her to exercise. I told her to move mindfully. Each morning before she checked her phone or turned on the TV, she was to do 3 things. Breathe deeply, stretch her calves and thighs while standing at the counter, and take 20 slow steps in place. That's it. No pressure, no goals, just presence. The first week, she said she felt silly. Is this really going to help? She asked. I told her, it's not about today, it's about the signal you're sending yourself. Keep going. She kept going. 3 weeks later, she emailed me. Dr. Gardner, she wrote, I feel different. I stopped not moving much more throughout the day, but I started cooking again. I stopped choosing to walk to the mailbox. I didn't even think about it. I just did it. That's momentum. That's what happens when you plant the seed of mindful movement every morning. It spills over. It starts small, but it spreads. You do a few minutes of movement, and suddenly you're making better choices. You reach for healthier food. You engage with people more. You find yourself standing taller, walking more confidently. That's not just physical, that's a shift in identity. Because here's the truth. Every time you choose movement over stillness, you're reminding yourself who you are. You're saying, I'm not fading, I'm not falling apart, I'm still growing. And when that becomes your identity, momentum becomes inevitable. And let's not forget what this does for your brain. When you move, you release endorphins, you improve circulation, you activate areas of your brain tied to focus, memory, and emotional resilience. So mindful morning movement doesn't just protect your legs, it protects your mood, your mindset, and your mental clarity. It becomes your anchor in a world full of chaos. And it's not just the act of movement that matters. It's the mindfulness behind it. When you move without rushing, when you tune into your body and feel the stretch, the lift, the breath, you're connecting with yourself. You're building a relationship with your body based on gratitude instead of criticism. That's powerful. That's healing. That's what sustains momentum. I want to remind you, momentum doesn't have to be fast. It just has to be forward. Think of it like pushing a boulder. At first, it takes a lot of effort. It barely moves. But once it starts rolling, even slowly, it becomes easier to keep it going. That's your health. That's your strength. That's your life. Maybe today you feel like that boulder hasn't moved in a long time. Maybe you've been stuck, sitting still, wondering if you'll ever feel strong again. I'm telling you, you will. But not all at once. It starts with that first 5 minutes, that first act of mindful movement. And the more you show up for it, the more your body responds. Let's be honest, some days will feel harder than others. Some mornings you'll feel stiff, tired, unmotivated, but those are the most important days to move. Not perfectly, not dramatically, just intentionally. Because that's how you honor your momentum. That's how you protect it. So, tomorrow morning when your feet touch the floor, take a moment, stand tall, roll your shoulders, stretch your calves, lift one knee, then the other. March in place for a minute. Breathe. Feel your body saying yes. Feel your spirit waking up. That's how you build momentum. That's how you keep going. And remember, this isn't about being better than someone else. It's about being better than you were yesterday. One mindful movement at a time. You're not stuck. You're not powerless. You have the ability to move forward. And it starts, not someday, not when you feel ready, but now, with the small, powerful act of choosing movement, with presence, with purpose, with belief. Because momentum doesn't come from doing everything, it comes from doing something every single day. And when that something is done with heart and awareness, it grows, it lifts you, it carries you. That's the power of mindful movement. That's the key to lifelong strength. And you have it, right now, within you, waiting to be used. So rise, move, breathe, and begin again.